Hello, my name is Dan Schiffman, and I'm here on behalf of the Processing Foundation and all of the volunteers who have spent a lot of time and a ton of effort over the last many years, in fact, working on the processing software to talk about the newest version of processing, Processing 3, and what's new about Processing 3. Now, processing, which I've now said that word like 10 times in the first sentence, is not a new project, and processing has been around all the way since 2001. In fact, I think we're coming up on the 15th anniversary of the processing software itself. So this video is really meant for those of you who have been using processing and want to sort of see what are some of the new features of the development environment, what are some things that it can do, and what are some reasons why certain things have changed. That's my goal, to talk about those things in this video. However, if processing itself and programming is something that's completely new to you, I would recommend checking out just the processing website and the Hello Processing tutorial, both of which I will link to below. There's nothing below me but a floor, but I'm probably embedded in a web page somewhere talking in the description for this video. So take a look at that. Okay, so let's get started and let's look at Processing 3. So I have Processing 3. It's right over there in the corner. It's a lovely icon, not at all designed by me because I'm incapable of designing things that look nice. But many people have worked on many things in processing that make it look absolutely beautiful, and that's one of my favorite things about the new editor is you're going to see it has just a new look to it and a lot of new features which that look supports. So let's launch it. And one of the first things you'll notice is that a welcome screen comes up. So here's the first thing that's new about Processing 3. If you have been using processing for a long time, you've got a whole set of sketches and libraries in your Processing 2, and they're kind of archive projects that work and you don't want to mess with them, you can start fresh and have a completely new sketchbook with its own set of libraries and tools and modes just for Processing 3. And that's kind of the recommended option for you here. You can see this option here. You could, of course, just use the old sketchbook. You know, most sketches are going to work between 2 and 3. Not that much has changed, but there are some significant things, and for larger, more complex projects, particularly if you're using external libraries, you now have the option to keep those intact from Processing 2 and kind of get things working in 3 as you have kind of time for. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit Get Started. I'm going to get a new sketch folder, and what you'll see is the finders open up, and it's saying like, hey, where do you want this new sketch folder to be? So this processing folder was my Processing 2 sketchbook. This won't appear for you. I made that folder before the video started, but I'm going to select this folder, Processing 3, and that's going to be my sketchbook. And you can see here under sketchbook, it's empty. There's nothing there yet. I haven't made any sketches. Maybe I'll make one in this video, and it will appear there, and that will be a nice happy moment. So, looking at the editor, it's new. There's some new icons, there's some new tabs down here, and look at this, line numbers. So many of you have always wanted to have line numbers in the Processing IDE, and they're there now. And one of the reasons why they're there is there's an entirely new error checking system which refers back and forth to line numbers, so having them there can be quite useful for a variety of reasons. So let's start with the new editor. I want to kind of quickly, go through some of the new features here in the editor, and the first one I want to look at is just how error checking works. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to type some code, and I'm going to type void setup, and I'm going to type void draw, and I'm going to type size 200, 200, semicolon. Now you can see I have a syntax error there, right? A parentheses is needed. So a couple things you'll notice. One is processing is like detecting the errors as you type. So as you type, it's finding errors. As you correct those errors go away. And this one it found is first, you'll note this squiggly line is showing you where that error is most likely occurring. Sometimes it's going to get it wrong, but almost all the time it's going to get it right. And the error message here, missing right parentheses. So this is something that's new about Processing 3, and I'm very excited about it because we spent a lot of time working on rewriting the Java error messages. So detecting errors and giving more helpful feedback. And this just like brings tears to my eyes because that's exactly what's missing, a right parentheses, and that's a helpful message rather than unexpected token, missing error, I don't know, something like that. So we can correct that error. We can also do things like int, I'm going to say int x equals 50, and I'm going to say ellipse 300, 250, 50, semicolon. So now something you'll notice, this is also exciting. There are 2 errors here. One is a missing semicolon, one is a missing right parentheses. So something new about Processing 3 is that if I go to this down here to the console is where you see print line messages come out, for debugging and other things. It used to also be where all the error messages happened. Now there is a separate errors tab. And if I go into that errors tab, you'll see that each error is listed individually. Now, zooming back out for a second, you can see a couple other things. These error messages are listed in which tab they're in. Now in this case I have a simple sketch, I haven't even saved it yet, so there's just one tab, but you might have errors in different tabs, as well as the line number. The line number is listed here as well. So you get a full list of the error messages. I can click on one, and now it's even highlighted in the IDE. So this ability to go through your list of errors, find them, debug them, fix them, is a wonderful thing. And it's new and it works great, and you can see as I start to correct them, those errors disappear. Ah, look at that. I forgot them. So this is interesting. I didn't expect this to happen, but I'm making a video live. Let's talk about this for a second. I was like, why did the errors disappear? There's still an error. So this actually isn't an error. Notice it's a yellow line, and notice there's a yellow dot here. Before there were red dots there. So there's something called a warning, which is that this variable is a variable I declared, but I never used it. It's a warning saying like, you know, your code's going to run just fine, but does it really make sense to declare that variable and not use it? Maybe you want to remove that line of code. So this is, and again, you have a nice message, the value of local variable x is not used. So this is something that Processing 3 has also warnings. And I kind of earlier had the preferences window up for a second, I kind of quickly shoved it away. This is something that you can configure in the preferences. So for example, you can turn off warnings. Like you don't really care about the warnings. If the code's going to run, the code's going to run. Turn off the warnings. The other thing you can do is turn off this continuously check for errors option. So if that's kind of getting in the way of your workflow and you just want to see the errors kind of when you finish typing, you can disable that option. Now this brings me to my next item in my list. Code completion with control space. Another new feature for the editor is code completion, which is a great feature. Tons of code editors and text editors have this. You're typing some code. It's a long thing to spell. The editor just sort of magically knows what it is you're going to type and fills in the rest for you. A feature like this is now available in the Processing IDE. So I'm going to select that option on. It won't be on by default. So you're going to have to go to your preferences and select it. But once I've done that, I can do things like type EL, control space, and you can see here, if I zoom into that, I'm being given the options. So I typed EL, did I mean to type ellipse or ellipse mode or ellipse? And in addition to showing me which things I might be interested in typing, it's showing me what that function expects, how many arguments. So there's a little bit of metadata, not as much as a full reference, but some information to help you along. And if I were to hit enter there, it fills it in, and I can just go and fill in the arguments however I might want them. Whoops, and I could get that there, and now I have the ellipse function. So code completion is there. You can also use it with objects. If you have an object dot, the code completion will show you suddenly what are all the functions available inside of that object, which in many cases is super useful because you can't remember, is it, was it called dist or distance or, check intersection or check collision. It's a quick way to kind of look up and see what those functions are available and know what the arguments are and have them typed for you. Okay, so let's look at another new feature in Processing 3. Now this is a feature that's been around that you could have added to processing as a separate mode. It's called tweak mode, but now it's in processing directly. So I'm going to go grab an example. I think the example that I want to use for this is the example called noise wave. I'm going to pull this example over here, and of course there is a run option for a sketch, run it, present, which presents it full screen, presents the sketch in the middle of the screen with a full screen background. But I'm going to show you this last option, tweak. So I'm going to run the sketch. I'm not going to run it. I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to put the sketch over here. And as I run tweak mode, you can see certain parts of the code have changed. Look at this. Next to background, there's an underline there and also this option that I can click on. So I can click on here and I could just tweak the color of the background right from the code itself. Okay, I like this color, I'm going to keep that. Then I could also go down and find certain values. Like, okay, I want to tweak the range of what noise is being mapped to. So 300 down to higher 2, and I can make this one this go down to 100. So you can see that the code is responding in real time to me changing these numbers. Oops, somebody just banged on the door. And I could also go down here and say, okay, well this is the sort of noise incrementation level. Look how that drastically affects things based on what I do. So you can sit there and tweak values in real time as the code is running. And then if I hit stop, it's going to give me the option, do I want to keep those changes? So I changed a lot of hard-coded values in the code. I like the way it looks much better. I can say yes. Of course, it's an example, so it wants me to save it, and I've got those new values. So this is a great new feature. I would say it's not really a substitute for like building your own interface or having some interesting generative or procedural way to affect the way parameters in your program work. But for quick and dirty sketching and trying out different values, this is a really nice feature to have in the IDE. The last feature I want to talk about is the debugger. Now, I don't need to spend too much time on the debugger because I have an entirely other video that goes through the debugger in detail, and I'll make sure there's a link to that below that you can go and watch. But the core idea for a debugger is it allows you to pause the sketch at a given moment, step through the sketch line by line, and look at what the values of variables are at different moments to try to diagnose a problem with the sketch. So to enable the debugger, there's this nice insect icon up here in the top right. You can click on that. And once you click on that, you can see some options have changed here. You can run the code by debugging, you can stop, you can continue, and also there is this variable inspector over there on the right where variable values will be displayed. So for more details about that, take a look at the debug video. Okay, the next topic I want to talk about is full screen and fast graphics and OpenGL, and a lot of that has changed in really exciting new ways in Processing 3. So let me open up a simple example here. Open recent hue. So this is one of my personal favorite little processing examples. It's just demonstrating how hue works based on the Y value of the mouse. I'm drawing colors of different hues. So one of the things that the sort of core function of processing that you're familiar with is the size function. And we did see that there is this way of saying present. And what present does is it takes a sketch and places it in the middle of the screen with a nice background behind it. But there is a new function available in processing called full screen. So what full screen is a replacement for size. You no longer need to use both of those. So if I comment out the size function and say full screen, and I run it, you will see my sketch is now happening instantly full screen. And what's really wonderful about this is the full screen function doesn't just take your sketch and run it full screen on the display that you're currently working on. What's one of the most common scenarios of why people work with processing? They've got a project, it's on their laptop, it's hooked up to a projector, it's part of an installation. If I were to say, if I have two displays and I say full screen 1, this sketch is going to run on this particular display. If I change it to full screen 2, this sketch is going to run on the projector. So the ability to quickly and easily send your sketch full screen to a particular display is a new feature of processing with this full screen function. And in addition to that, if I simply just say span, full screen span, this is a scenario that if I have multiple displays, the sketch will span across all of them. Which, if you've worked in multi-screen installations and environments before, this is a very difficult thing to accomplish. And now this is possible just by working in processing with the full screen function. Okay, so what is, there's a little bit more to this than that. So what I want to do is close this sketch and go to a different example. I'm just going to go to this demos, graphics, particles. And one of the things I want to talk about here is what's happened with OpenGL rendering and processing. So you'll notice processing has multiple renderers. There's the default renderer, which is what I've just been using before. There's the P2D renderer for hardware accelerated two-dimensional graphics and the P3D renderer for hardware accelerated 3D graphics. Processing used to be built on top of this thing called applet. Old ancient technology to allow you to embed Java applications in a web browser. Kind of a dead, defunct technology. Processing 3 has now removed applet as a dependency. This makes all sketches, but in particular OpenGL 3D and 2D sketches, P2D and P3D sketches run faster, start faster, less flicker, quick full screen. So all of these options that we're talking about are available here. So if I were to say full screen, you can see here is a nice speedy demonstration. Whoops. Oh, I forgot. I've got to give it the renderer, right? So one thing that I mentioned before, about the full screen function is you can pass it the particular display you want to go to, but you also can pass it the renderer you want. So P2D, 1 would be the P2D renderer on the first display. P2D, 2 would be the P2D renderer on the second display. Right now I'm just going to do P2D on the default display. Read only, and I'm going to, I can't save it, and I'm going to run it. And you can see here it is. So this is a sketch with a lot of particles running and processing super fast at a nice high frame rate, full screen. It started instantly. This is a lot of work has gone into updating not just this applet thing, but just making these renderers work better with new OpenGL features, a more efficient code, more stuff happening on the hardware card. And so if you take a look on GitHub, you'll see the names of the folks who have really spent a ton of time fixing bugs to make this work really, really well. So you should thank them for that. Okay, the other new thing about display, working with displays in processing, is that, and let me just go back, not that this, I don't know why I need to open this, but I'm gonna go back to this Hue example for a second, is that the world is now full of what's known as high density displays. So a Mac Retina machine is a high density display. There's other types of high density displays for use with Windows computers. So if you want to get that sort of finer quality rendering with processing, you can do so with the new pixel density function. So I'll just type that in here. For example, if I say pixel density 2, what this will do is it will sort of turn on Retina or high density display rendering. So you'll see finer, smoother lines like you want to see on a high density display. I should also mention that really changes the way you think about the dimensions of your window, right? Because there's the sort of dimensions that you think it is, 640 and 360, then there's the real pixel dimensions of that window because there's more pixels going in there to make it look sort of higher resolution. So there's also some new variables, pixel width and pixel height, that you can use for pixel processing and that sort of thing, and there's more information about that in the reference. Okay, finally, there is an additional experimental renderer. So if you're interested in really beautiful, perfect, high-density display 2D rendering, you might take a look at this new renderer that's called FX2D. So this is built on top of a technology called JavaFX, and it's optimized for like fast, high-quality 2D rendering on a high-density display. It's experimental though. Certain things work, certain things don't work. Give it a try and certainly ask questions on the forum or post bugs to GitHub for that. Okay, the last thing I'll mention about this while we're on the size function is it's important to note that processing 3 requires you to use hard-coded numbers in the size function. This is a requirement for that helps all the engine behind the scenes that's working to make the window open correctly, full screen, not full screen, very quickly, and be in the right position. There are ways around it. There's and on the wiki, I'm going to show you a wiki page. It'll be linked below. If you need to use a variable for that size function, there's a way that you can get around it, and other things that you might do if you're working with processing an environment like Eclipse. But as a core rule right now that's become a little bit more strict with processing 3, you want to make sure you use a hard-coded number for size, and size should be the first line in setup. Otherwise, things can break and do strange things. Okay, so I'm almost through this video. I've been talking about new features in Processing 3, and the last thing that I want to show you is the new Contributions Manager. So one of the most exciting things about working with processing is the fact that there are all these libraries that you can use. Libraries to do interesting types of geometry, to simulate physics, to use different kinds of hardware and sensors. So there is a new Contributions Manager which allows you to manage what libraries you have installed, updating libraries with new versions, and it works great. So I'm going to show you some of the features of that. So if I go to Sketch, Import Library, Add Library, it's going to pull up the Contributions Manager. So one of the first things you can see here is that this Contributions Manager is now fully integrated as one thing. So whether you're looking for a library, a mode, a tool, or example, and by the way, this is new, example packages. If you're the author of a textbook, or if you're giving a workshop, or if you just have a whole set of examples that you would like to release, you can release example packages that can get downloaded into the development environment directly. So you can see here are four such examples from a couple of books that are out there about processing right now. So you can see here there's a list of all of the libraries that are available to you. And I can scroll through these lists. I can filter by certain keywords, like I could say video. I could filter also by a category here if I want. And one thing I want to show you really quickly, as you can see here, I pre-installed a library, but there's an exclamation point, meaning this library is due for an update. So a library that is installed, you'll see in a minute, has a green check mark. And a library that's installed that needs an update has an exclamation point. A library that's grayed out is one that is not compatible with this version of processing. So hopefully all libraries will soon become compatible with Processing 3, and then they'll appear in the Contributions Manager and you can install them. But let's just install a library just to go through that. I'm going to go to Connect. I'm going to just type in connect. I'm going to install this library. I'm going to click on this install button right down here. I'm going to install it. It's downloading. It's installed. And if I look for that library again, whoops, you can see that there is the green check mark right there. Another useful tab, by the way, is up here. I can go over to updates and I can see, oh, here are all the libraries that are available for updates, and I can actually just select update all. So if I have like 10 libraries that need to be updated, I can just select update all, and you can see actually how quickly it updated, it downloaded, installed, and that exclamation part became green. So now those libraries are there, the examples are there, you can see which is the available version, what's installed. So hopefully this new contributions manager will make it really easy to keep track of what you have, what needs updating, what isn't compatible, what is compatible, that sort of thing. It sort of brings me to my next point. Processing 3 is new. There's a lot of libraries out there for processing. If you are a library developer, please get in touch with us if you need help updating your library for Processing 3. You can post on the forum, you can send us an email, you can tweet to processing.org. We'd really like to be able to help people figure out how to make sure to get their libraries updated for Processing 3 and in the editor. So let us know what you need us to do for that. And so the last thing I want to show you is just if you need more information about what's changed, I'm kind of this, and you don't want to listen to me just ramble and not look at this YouTube live event. I'm going to show you there is this changes in 3.0 wiki. So this will be linked in the video, but this goes through all of these new interface things, a lot of these rules about size, the new renderers, the syntax, what's deprecated, all of these types of things in sort of text form. So I'd also encourage you to read that over. So you're very kind to listen to this very long video and look at these new features of Processing 3. Please let me know what you think. If there's things that I missed, ask questions. If there's ideas you have, you can participate on the forum, you can post a bug report on GitHub, and you can send us messages and all the other kinds of ways people send each other messages in today's world. So thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your day if you're still watching, and I hope to come back and make more videos about things that you can do in processing. Okay, bye-bye.